We need to confirm it. Is he gonna be okay?
There's a blood type mismatch.
How much is it?
It's 10 million dong.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today's story is a powerful tale of love, sacrifice, and the ultimate price one woman was willing to pay to save the man she loved. Dae is lying in a hospital bed, fighting a life-threatening illness, while Huyen faces an impossible choice. With no money left and time running out, she sells the farm they built with their own hands, their entire life, just to give him a chance to survive. But when the surgery begins, a new crisis strikes. Dae urgently needs a blood transfusion, and Huyen's blood type doesn't match. As hope fades with every passing minute, she runs against time, calling every relative she can, refusing to give up, until a miracle finally arrives. This is not just a story about illness, it's a story about unconditional love, about how far someone can go when they refuse to let go, and about the quiet heroes who step forward when life hangs by a thread. If you enjoy emotional, heartfelt stories that touch the soul, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our next story. Now, let's begin. Dae lay motionless on the hospital bed, his face so pale it nearly blended into the cold white sheets beneath him. The steady beeping of the heart monitor echoed softly in the room, weak and fragile, as if his life could slip away with just one shallow breath. Huyen sat beside him, holding his hand tightly, feeling the chilling cold spreading from his fingertips into her own heart. Not long ago, Dae had still been a strong man. Every morning, he woke before dawn to tend the farm, his body accustomed to sun, wind, and hard labor. He was used to exhaustion, used to dirt-stained hands and simple meals shared with laughter. No one could have imagined that a deadly illness had been silently consuming him day by day until his body finally collapsed under its weight. The doctor's diagnosis struck Huyen like a blade of ice driven straight into her chest. Dae was suffering from a life-threatening blood disease. Immediate surgery was the only chance to save him. The cost of treatment was overwhelming, so enormous that Huyen could barely process the numbers. For a family whose livelihood depended entirely on their farm, it was an impossible sum. That night, Huyen sat alone in the hospital corridor. The fluorescent lights cast a harsh, sterile glow over her trembling hands. In her mind appeared the image of their farm, the land they had built from nothing, pouring in sweat, tears, and youth. But then Dae's exhausted face on the hospital bed returned even more clearly. Huyen understood one thing with absolute certainty. Without money, Dae would not survive. The next morning, Huyen left the hospital in haste. She sought out anyone who had ever shown interest in buying the farm. She didn't negotiate, she didn't hesitate, she accepted a price far below its true value. When she signed the transfer papers, her hand shook and her heart tightened, but she did not cry. She no longer allowed herself the luxury of weakness. The farm was gone, but Dae had to live. Clutching the money, Huyen rushed back to the hospital and paid the full surgical fees. When the nurses wheeled Dae toward the operating room, she ran alongside him until the very last moment. Dae turned his head and looked at her, his eyes dim with pain, yet he forced a faint smile. "I'll be fine, don't worry," he whispered. Huyen couldn't answer. She only nodded again and again, tears falling onto his warm hand. Then the operating room doors closed, cutting her off from the man she loved more than her own life. Huyen collapsed onto a bench, her legs barely able to support her. Time stretched unbearably. Every second felt like an eternity. Then suddenly, the operating room doors opened and the doctors stepped out with a tense expression. The patient is suffering from severe blood loss. He needs an immediate blood transfusion. Otherwise, the surgery cannot continue. Huyen jumped to her feet instantly. "Take my blood," she said without hesitation. "I'm his wife." She followed the nurse into the testing room and rolled up her sleeve. Her mind held only one thought. If her blood could save Dec, she would give every last drop. Minutes later, the doctor shook his head gently. "I'm sorry, your blood type doesn't match." Huyen froze. Her ears rang. The world seemed to collapse all over again. She had sold her entire life to save him, yet now she was powerless before something as simple as a bag of blood. She refused to fall apart. Grabbing her phone, Huyen began calling Dec's relatives, near and distant alike. Some answered but lived too far away. Some were unfit to donate. Some never answered at all. Each ended call extinguished another flicker of hope. Huyen ran back and forth through the hospital corridors, her legs weak, her throat dry. Inside the operating room, Dec was fighting for his life second by second. The doctors urged her. Time was running out. Just as despair threatened to swallow her whole, a middle-aged man rushed into the hospital. He was a distant relative of Dec, someone the couple had barely seen over the years. Upon hearing the news, he had traveled through the night without rest. "Test my blood," he said firmly. "If it matches, I'll donate." Huyen looked at him, her heart pounding wildly. She dared not hope too much, afraid another disappointment would crush what little strength she had left. The test results came back. The doctor looked at Huyen and nodded. "It's a perfect match." Huyen broke down completely. She covered her face and sobbed, not from fear this time, but from overwhelming relief. Life had been pulled back from the edge. The man lay on the donation bed, his face growing pale, but his eyes calm. He spoke only one sentence. "As long as he lives, that's enough." The blood was transferred into Dec's body. His vital signs slowly stabilized. The surgery resumed. Huyen sat against the cold wall outside the operating room, clutching her worn wedding ring. Memories flooded her mind. Early mornings in the fields, arguments over money followed by quiet laughter, meals of vegetables and eggs shared with warmth and love. They had survived countless hardships together. This would be no different. After hours that felt endless, the operating room doors opened once more. The doctor removed his mask, his voice finally softer. The surgery was successful. He's out of danger. Huyen collapsed to her knees. She could no longer stand. All the fear, desperation, and exhaustion poured out at once. She had traded her entire life, but she had saved the one person who mattered most. Days later, Dec slowly regained consciousness. Weakly, he opened his eyes and saw Huyen sitting by his bed. She looked thinner, her eyes sunken from sleepless nights, yet when she saw him awake, her smile shone brighter than anything else. "You're still here?" Dec whispered. Huyen took his hand, her voice trembling. "I never left." After hearing everything from the doctors, Dec turned to her, tears streaming down his face. "You sold the farm for me." Huyen shook her head and held his hand tighter. "As long as you're alive, nothing else matters." Dec cried. The man who had always carried the weight of the family finally understood. In this world, there exists a love willing to sacrifice everything, without conditions, without promises. Outside the hospital window, the afternoon sunlight filtered gently into the room. One chapter of their lives had closed. Many hardships still lay ahead, but they would face them together. Because they still had each other, and that was
Xin
enough.
chào tất cả các khán giả của kênh Live Single RV. Vậy là trong câu chuyện của chúng ta ngày hôm nay thì Đệ đã có được một người thân hiến máu để cứu anh vượt qua cơn nguy kịch. Và thật là may là anh đã sống sót và có cơ hội phục hồi trở lại. Vậy người thân đó là ai? Có mối quan hệ là như thế nào với Đệ? Huyền cũng rất là thắc mắc. Mọi tình tiết hấp dẫn sẽ còn được kể ở các video tiếp theo. Các bạn đừng quên bấm vào nút subscribe để đăng ký kênh, sẽ nhận được thông báo mới nhất về câu chuyện sẽ được phát sóng hàng ngày trên kênh Live Single RV nha. Đặc biệt đừng quên bấm like, share và để lại bình luận ở dưới video. Cảm ơn các bạn rất nhiều đã luôn theo dõi và ủng hộ kênh của mình. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại vào ngày mai. Bye bye!